we're looking forward, and that's what we talked about last week when we looked at our, different manipulatives to use. So we made the list. I went back through and made the chart for us because it's a lot. But we talked about some of these things to use. One of the things was the place value discs, and that was a new learning for some of us. Base 10 blocks, all of the different things we can use to show division. Of course, starting these right here, rectangular arrays, showing it on the number line, using counters, those are gonna be for your smaller magnitude numbers. It's not gonna work going up to 4-digit, dividends. Left my brain for a minute. Obviously that's way too big, but using our base 10 blocks, place value discs are gonna be able to show that, those larger numbers. And then moving down, we can connect it to partial quotient and area model. So questions, comments, concerns, ideas from last year that you guys.
Yes, ideas from last year.
How far back would we need to go this? Like, do we need to start with the smaller numbers and introduce the arrays and number lines and then build from there? Or is that something we just class to class, or?
I think it's gonna depend on what your students are bringing forth, and we're gonna choose a pre-assessment.
Okay,
great. So we're gonna look at that and just see what they're gonna bring forth, because it's up to 4-digit divisors.
Yes.
So if we start with the 2-digit divisor that is smaller, and then do some of those equal groups using counters, we can easily do that, and then they can make connections to the larger numbers. What do y'all think?
I like that.
Okay.
You know, the very first thing we did last year for division was we gave them just a problem and base 10 blocks on
I think you just gave them a number and you made them.
it was a problem divided by 3.
And they had
divided
to
by 3.
Okay.
They had to come up with
Like
their
a
own.
3-digit number, I think it was. And so they had just the, like 463, something like that, divided by 3. And we gave that to them with a piece of paper with the problem, and they had to go in groups, and it was great. Didn't you think it
We
was
didn't give
great?
them any instruction, we
No
just divide these
instructions.
up
And so
into
they
3 equal
they
groups.
did
And they had to come up with a word
different-
problem to make
They
it.
did come up with a
and
word
it
problem.
was, you could see them having that discourse.
Was that a pre-assessment, or was that just like stepping into it?
That was just our
We
day
didn't
one.
actually
pre-assess
We didn't
that.
pre-assess
Okay.
that.
I
We
gotcha.
just, it was day one, hey,
But
we've
it
got
told you a
these,
lot, I'm sure.
we've got these numbers, you gave them chart paper, here, figure it out. And it was a big learning thing when they had to break apart the 100. They're like,
Yes, they
oh,
had to
we
make
can,
the exchanges.
yeah.
And I think we gave them the story problem the first time. And
Did
then
we?
when we did it again the next day with a different problem, they
Yeah,
had to
okay,
make
they
it
came
up.
up with their own story problems.
Okay.
We might have said
That's
something
kind of more
like-
I do, we do, I mean, we do. you
Like
do.
we had
Yes,
463 books, we need to put.
Yes, on the
33.
shelves.
Yeah, something like that, we gave them
Okay.
a story.
Yes, that's, yeah.
And then they all went all around the room with the base 10 blocks.
And they had to talk between themselves to figure out what in the world they were gonna do. How can we divide?
And there was struggle, most of them did not
It took them a little
do
bit.
it right off.
I think one of mine was like, it's, and I'm like, well, what can you do? And they're like, hold on a minute.
One
So,
thing I might
just
do
getting them to
different
understand
though is make them bring it to me to make their exchanges. What do you think? But so they got it mixed up, like they needed only 463.
And they didn't put it back in the bag when they exchanged
So
it.
that kind of made some problems. Did you have anything like that? But it was a great way to start division.
But I love, yeah, it really made them talk it out.
And really
then-
think about what it
Yes.
looks like.
Yes.
This big number has to go into 3 different groups, cause they actually had to place, they
And it's
started with their
super
one.
unique because of how many tens do we need to take out? Because they have to think back to.
And then
place
eventually
that.
we got to some that had remainders, and so they figured out, well, we have some left over. They had to all get up and share, and we turned them
Yeah.
into number talks too. Wendy helped us do that.
And I think this year you said after they build it with the actual blocks, you wanna
Yes.
like use paper copies of the
yes.
base 10 blocks, and then they can actually glue it or
Glue
tape it onto.
Yeah.
And then
That
they
could
could
be a
step
next
about
day, and then they
drawing
could
them.
come up with,
Yes.
cause we did do where they drew them, and it was.
Yeah, drawing, yeah.
Okay, so paper copies.
The
Yeah,
paper
is a
copies
step.
is go ahead and have them cut and put into like a Ziploc bag or something that they can have access to, and then that would be a good one where they could do the word problem. they could then create, cause you could give them all 4 different problems,
Mhm.
and then they could come up with their own word problem, and then they could share.
Share
So then
how
they
they
wouldn't be
want.
sharing
Each
the
a
first day,
different
they
one.
could share
That's
after they
Yeah,
had
they
that
could share after a
intro.
few days of having success with it, okay, I like that.
No, it doesn't have anything to do with getting them to partial quotients, but they understood division.
Yes, because it's a big topic to understand,
Mhm.
dividing everything out, cause there's going from multiplication now to inverse operation. It's a big idea.
Okay.
But the base 10 that was the easiest to
That
start
was a
with,
good
didn't you
intro.
think?
I like that,
Mhm.
yeah.
You will have some of your lower ones that will need, with smaller magnitudes and numbers, some of that stuff though, so they can see like how to make their equal groups and how to do that.
So could you group those together and then work with you at your table to do the same problem with the smaller, okay, that's what I'm thinking, okay.
They can do the larger magnitude within their, like if you wanted to do random groups
Uh-huh.
or whatever, but then,
But maybe a couple times of doing it with you first, like
Mhm.
doing it with you for the first couple steps, and then the last one, maybe put them with others and let them try it.
I think put them with, I mean, y'all tell me, but I think put them with others and let them try the larger magnitude first, and then as they need more work,
Okay.
bring the
Okay,
magnitude
okay,
down.
I like that, okay.
And that could be your group if you see that they need something that you can work with them with.
Yes. I like
Yeah.
that, okay, sounds good.
Okay.
So we need to find a pre-assessment now?
Yes.
I've never used place values,
No, me
When
either.
you showed those, I was
I
like,
have a lot of them if you need to borrow them.
If y'all wanna share any, I need
I
it.
have,
I think,
I like 2
did
or
get, when I
3
got to my room
cups.
yesterday, my
I got
magnitudes were there, manipulatives were there, but they're fractions. I
it
mean, so-
is, well, and I got the box of fractions too, so I got all the fractions, so this green box will have fraction stuff in it for you guys when y'all are ready for it. But I have place value discs,
I
cause
just don't
y'all,
have any of the others, place value discs or base 10 blocks, I don't have any of those.
I'll find them before you go, cause we pulled them out last week.
You know, my question is, what do my kids need to know to be able to use place value disc?
They need to know, well, what do y'all think?
What are the, I don't even know what those
Well, let me look.
Well, that goes
I don't
back
know
to
what it look
knowing, cause that's really base 10 is, because that goes back to knowing if they have 100, they know when they have 100 of that, they need 10 10s. So it's the same, really, it's the same when it comes to that, cause if you take 100 and you need to exchange it, they need to know they need 10 10s.
So they're just discs instead of these, okay, I've never
With
seen them, I don't
numbers
have
on
these.
it. So they would need another value.
So which one would be to you, which one
I'm
would be
sorry,
more
I-
of a
Base
abstract?
10 is like-
Which one would be more abstract, I guess you could say, even though both of them are concrete, but if you
Discs.
This
Base 10, you
is,
see the difference.
So they're different colors and they have
Those
different
are all the
values
same
on them,
size.
okay.
Right.
So they need
Okay.
to actually know.
yes,
understand
what
that.
it is.
that could be
That's
an
okay.
interference.
That's that one.
Okay.
Yes, because
Yes.
they are the same
Which
size.
this,
see
they
that.
can actually count 100,
Yes.
little.
And it's gonna match, these are not gonna match.
So they need that foundation.
Yeah.
Okay, I gotcha, I gotcha.
Yeah,
That's
but this is
good.
gonna be good for your kids who really
Yes.
do have that.
Already
foundation.
have
Yes.
this, and yes, because
Because
these
this
will be
is-
easier to draw.
And this will be easier to
Yes.
break apart, like
Yes.
you can get to 9,999 easier with
Than
these
that.
than that.
Yes, okay, alright, I like that.
And you can decompose these easier than base 10 blocks.
Okay.
So yes, that is an interference if they're the same size, but I don't think it will be if they have a good understanding of that.
So when you're using smaller numbers, which one do you think would be the best?
Small numbers are gonna be the place.
For sure.
Or the tiles, like if we did rectangular arrays with tiles.
If you had, yeah,
For the.
For smaller.
small, yes, for, yes, a lot smaller.
Or Lincoln cubes.
Mhm.
Okay.
These are yours then.
But I
If
think you,
everybody has them, these are yours.
wonderful.
You have them?
We were getting my fraction ones put away this morning.
And if you don't have them,
So you're gonna get mine, I received 2 sets of these this summer, so you're gonna get these. She'll have base.
she'll have base 10, cause I don't think I have any more base 10.
Because
But
I
if you
got
need
it for
something.
each of those inside
Yeah.
ones, I got a whole set twice.
Okay, so we wanna choose a pre-assessment, and Miss Lucker, if you don't mind swinging around.
Swing around.
I pulled up a lot of tabs looking at prepared, so we could. Okay, to scale I have pulled up, I think I didn't need any of that. So proficiency scale, formative assessment item sets that we can look at. Also, didn't need that right there. This is OGAP, so these are OGAP equal groups that we can look at. So I would suggest starting looking at OGAP because it's gonna be, we can go smaller and then go bigger. Some of our, like our ACAP might be too big to start with, too large of a magnitude.
So in looking at this ribbon problem, I guess when we're talking about all of this here, I'm thinking about separate objects. I know we have to do that also, but would it be easier to start with separate objects like books being divided? Well, this is the pre-assessment, so, cause I mean, I think.
And it has different things, like that's just,
Okay, I
there's
got you,
72
okay.
pages.
Okay, I was just gonna say, I would,
Yeah.
and I would
There's
love to see
some
both
Yeah.
things. I would like to see both things. Can they
Yeah.
take one object and divide it into
And divide,
pieces,
uh-huh.
but also a bunch of objects? Okay.
Yeah,
alright, okay,
there's,
good.
we can scroll and look as you.
Perfect, okay.
So this is an interesting one, because you have 105 boxes of cookies. The box has 4 bags, the bag has 5.
Oh.
That's a lot. So that
That's
may
a
be,
lot, yeah.
that may be too much.
That might not be that.
That might
Maybe not free
that might not
assessment.
even be a free
They might
assessment.
give up on
Yeah.
this.
But like I said, let's
Good,
scroll.
now Kinley, hey, blow us away.
So we're
thing
looking
is
at
you also
what to
have
give
to
them for a
differentiate. That
pre-assessment
could be
before
hers.
they ever even do the
Before
chart.
they, yes.
these?
Mhm.
Okay.
So you can
To
see
see-
what they're bringing forth, and I don't think this is gonna show you.
No,
This
in
is
my
gonna be
opinion, you don't wanna
overwhelming.
frustrate them.
Yes.
Either,
Yes.
because that right there would, I know some of mine that would just hit the paper.
Yeah.
Yes.
They're like, no. So you don't wanna,
Well, something
find
about
that happy
number
medium.
books and put them on shelves might be something they could
Yeah.
relate to.
So maybe we can
Or
find something
candy,
similar, yeah,
Numbers of candy and certain number
Bring
of
'em in
bags.
groups. So we have pre-assessment, then we have our first few lessons planned out after the pre-assessment.
Mhm.
Okay.
Do we want to,
Do we wanna go ahead and use are we gonna use that? Maybe do more,
what?
I mean, whenever we do the intro lesson,
I think so,
just use that one.
I think so.
like
And then move into Envision, I was about to pull Envision up.
Yeah.
Is that what
Yes.
Yes,
So
'cause
go
it's
over
five
that
cent
one. Yeah.
And then, look, there's that little thing I can.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
there.
Okay. Okay. So it's relating back to multiplying.
Just want them to think of 9 times 3 is 27 and then 9 times 30.
One thing that they really emphasized a lot in my AMSTAT multiplication classes this summer was that we needed to teach them together, not like separate things the kids need to know they're related.
How multiplication and division are related.
So should we do these
All
Envision
together.
few lessons, not really before we do the other though? We should do the other first and then this, or do the couple of the, like this Envision before the other? To really connect the multiplication to it? I don't know, that's what I'm
I
asking.
still I loved the fact that we did the intro
Totally
where
exploring.
they just had
Before
to
we
talk it
ever
out.
talked
Okay.
about it.
I loved that. Now maybe if you wanted to do some of those lessons, especially
a
the mental
number
math
talk,
ones,
maybe?
do those and then go back to where they have to do them together. Like do the
See, the whole
where they're
thing is,
fluent and
they were on their own and they had no like conversation in the classroom or anything before.
It was totally a fresh look at what,
And that's what was great about it.
Okay, well then let's do that, and then we can do
then
this.
we could do the mental math ones and then go back to, because they're gonna see those large numbers, so it won't freak them out whenever they get the large numbers working together back in their small group. So maybe that's
And this is like, the solve and share here is good, because some of them are gonna realize there's a known fact there.
Mhm.
I know 9 times 3 is 27, and that can help me solve this problem. And some of them may even make a connection, and when you do, like, start off with the base 10 blocks, don't have any remainders, but they might make a connection to, well, 3 times, whatever number you choose to have them divide, might make a connection back to multiplication on their own. And
That
so
way
maybe,
they know their inverse
yeah,
operations.
maybe that would be better for them to discover
On
that
their own.
on their own, and then go into, hey, it is
If they
related.
didn't get it, yeah,
Mhm.
it is related, okay.
Because they have to understand that they're using multiplication to divide.
Okay. Because they do that, right, when y'all do the partial
Partial
Oh, yes.
quotient.
Yeah,
anyway.
right here,
Okay.
they're,
It goes
They're
back.
using
That's what I was
known
thinking, so that'll really
facts.
connect it too, okay.
yeah, cause they're building that menu of
Mhm.
known
Okay.
facts, and that
Yes.
relates it back to.
And they
Okay.
love that, or they
Yes.
did last year.
Remembered
They were like,
There's
"Make
so
the
much
menu."
to do.
What's
And
on the
that-
menu?
And that was to thank Wendy for, she
That was
came
really
in and
good.
demonstrated and made that great,
Yeah.
popular.
And it was so good because even like, I was thinking back to what they did last year, they knew 3 times 10, they knew 3 times 100. They
Mhm.
didn't maybe not realize 3 times 50, but they knew that 50 was half of 100, so this product had to be half of that product. So it made them think about other facts that they might not have realized right off the bat, but they could, and then 3 times 150, they probably didn't know that, but they could add those 2 products.
And I love doing that whenever I'm teaching that. Just use whatever they say,
Mm-hmm.
because when it's a mile long
Mhm.
and you get to the end of it and you're like, oh,
Wow.
like they're like exhausted.
But it was a
You
lot
go
of
back
math
and you're
that
like,
they
let's
did.
think about other numbers we could have used that would
Instead
make
of
this
all of
much
these.
shorter.
But they learned that on their own
And they
without you
see-
just telling them
yes,
that, I got you,
yes.
okay.
I like that.
Alright, so 5-1,
Yeah, I think we've got a good plan. I'll print that off, give it to
Okay.
y'all, print off the other 2 to work on. Questions, comments, concerns?
do you have any of those I could borrow and I'll take care of them before I buy some? I always spend my class
I
money on it,
do.
I promise, but I don't have any more.
Don't buy any right now, let me see what I can
Okay,
find.
okay, cause I just don't have any.
Okay.
And me and you can share, cause we teach math at different times.
That's true, that's
Yeah, and
true.
I think I teach math at
Okay.
different times.
So we could swap, we could
Yes.
have a bucket and swap.
But I'll find you some too, so don't buy any.
Okay,
Okay,
That's good. I believe that.
wonderful.
I'm pumped about it.
I'm excited. I'm ready to do it right now about it this year.